The snow was red, not just white and soft, but red. Red like something had bled too much on it. Red like a battlefield. Ryan stepped slowly, his boots sinking into the frozen ground. His rifle was heavy in his hands. The wind howled through the trees. Sharp and cold. He wasn't supposed to be here. This was enemy land, but he had followed the signal. A weak beacon had blinked 3 times before it went dead. And now, here he was, looking for something or someone. Then he saw her, a body. Half buried in the snow, she was crawling. Her hands shook, leaving trails of blood behind her. One leg dragged uselessly. Her long hair was matted with ice and dirt. She wore armor, dark purple and cracked. It didn't look like any human design. And her skin pale blue with faint glowing lines had confirmed it. Alien. Ryan raised his rifle. She stopped crawling. Her head turned, just a little. Her eyes locked onto his, wide and scared. Then she did something he didn't expect. She pushed herself up on shaking arms and fell forward onto her knees. Her hands raised slowly in surrender. And then her lips moved. "Don't kill me, human," she whispered, her voice rough and broken. "I'll warm your bed." Ryan blinked. Was that a joke? A trap? But her voice wasn't mocking, it was desperate. She shivered as the wind hit her bare skin where the armor had broken. Snowflakes stuck to her lashes like tiny stars. She didn't move any closer, she just knelt there. Her hands up, her breathing heavy and ragged. "Who are you?" Ryan asked, not lowering the rifle. I ran," she said, her voice shaking. "They will kill me for it." "Who's they?" "My people. My commanders," she whispered. "I refused to follow the order." "What order?" "To burn the village. The human children." Ryan's hands tightened on the rifle. This was dangerous. He should leave her or shoot her. But something inside him paused. She wasn't lying. He could see it in her eyes green, glowing faintly, full of fear and something else. "Shame. You're wounded," he said. "You'll die out here." "I know," she said. "But if you kill me now, it will be faster." Ryan shook his head slowly. "You're not dying today." He stepped closer, rifle still pointed at her. "Why did you offer to warm my bed?" She looked down. Her voice was barely a breath. "That's all some humans want from us. If I offer it, maybe I live." Even as a prisoner, Ryan knelt slowly, still watching her carefully. He pulled out a blanket from his pack and wrapped it around her shoulders. She flinched at first, but then sighed, her body shaking with cold and pain. "Can you walk?" "Not far. Then I'll carry you." He lifted her in his arms. She was light, too light. Her body trembled against his chest. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, her eyes closing for a moment. "Because I'm not like them," he said, "and maybe you're not either." As he walked through the snow with her in his arms, the wind roared louder, somewhere behind him. A red light blinked in the trees. A tracking drone. It had found her trail, and now others would come. But Ryan didn't look back, not yet. He had to get her to shelter. He didn't know who she really was. Didn't know if she was telling the truth. But in that moment, holding her freezing body close, he made a choice. He would protect her for now. Her head rested weakly on his shoulder. "Your name?" she asked. "Ryan." "I am Betrayal," she whispered. Then she passed out, her body going limp in his arms. Ryan looked ahead. The snow kept falling, and the war was still going on. But somewhere, deep inside, something new had started. And it began with blood in the snow. The night was cold, but not silent. Snowflakes fell quietly, but the sound of metal wings hummed above the clouds. Ryan moved fast, holding Betrayal close to his chest. Her skin was burning with fever, but her body still shivered like ice. She was breathing, barely. Her armor clicked softly against his own gear. Broken, like her spirit, he reached a narrow mountain path, half hidden by fallen trees. Years ago, soldiers had used this trail to sneak supplies to a rebel outpost. Now no one remembered it, except Ryan, and he was betting their enemies didn't. Either the hidden bunker was buried under snow and rock. He tapped a metal box buried beneath a dead tree. A quiet beep replied, and a door opened sideways into the slope. Inside was dark, but warm. Heat still worked, powered by old solar cells and emergency fuel cells. Ryan kicked the snow off his boots and carried Kirill inside, laying her on a faded cot. She groaned softly, then flinched. Her eyes opened, just barely. Where are we? She whispered. Safe, Ryan said, unstrapping her broken armor. For now, he looked at the deep wounds on her side. They weren't made by bullets or blades. They looked like electric burns tight. Seared rings, torture? He asked quietly. Kirill nodded once, her voice barely a whisper. They did it when I refused the last order. They called me a traitor. Ryan pressed a warm cloth to her wounds. She didn't scream, just closed her eyes tighter. You should have killed me, she said again. I'll bring hunters to your door. I know, he replied, but if I didn't save you, I wouldn't be human. The bunker lights flickered. A red light blinked near the monitor. Ryan walked over and checked the screen. Drone movement detected 5 miles out. Scanning grid, slow sweep. They're coming, he muttered. Kirill's voice shook. Then we must run. No, Ryan said. We hide and we wait. She tried to sit up, her body trembling. You don't understand. These aren't normal scouts. Then what are they? They are bounty squads. Not soldiers, they are hunters. Ryan paused. Hunters? Kirill looked straight at him now, her glowing green eyes sharp even in weakness. They don't follow rules, don't take prisoners. They don't care about honor, only payment. My people put a price on my head high enough that every hunter in this system will come. Ryan tightened his grip on the rifle. He had seen hunters before, cold, heartless, efficient. You said you ran from your people. Why? Kirill looked down. Because they wanted me to kill innocent lives, and I decided I'd rather die than follow that path. Outside, the snow stopped falling, the sky cleared, and the drones moved faster. The scanner beeped again, closer. Now just 3 miles away. We can't stay long, Ryan said. But you can't walk far in this condition. I can fight, she whispered. If you give me a reason. Ryan met her eyes. Survival isn't enough? She shook her head. Not if I'm alone. A moment passed between them. No more words, only breath. And the quiet hum of danger coming closer. Ryan stood and walked to the supply rack. Grabbing a small device, a jammer, he activated it, and said, this will block their scans for 1 hour. What will we do in 1 hour? She asked. Get ready, he said. If they find us, we fight. Kirill smiled faintly. Pain in her eyes, but also fire. For a human, you are strangely brave. For an alien, you're strangely honest. He replied. Then came a sound, soft but terrifying. Footsteps above the bunker. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Then a sharp clang of metal hitting rock. They were marking the location. They know, Kirill whispered, reaching for her blade with shaking hands. Ryan readied his rifle. The trapdoor creaked slightly. The next few moments would decide everything. Hunter or hunted, life or death. One wrong move, and the snow would turn red again. The storm came fast. Winds screamed over the mountain like angry spirits. Snow slammed against the bunker door, sealing it shut tight inside. Ryan checked the heater, frowning. The screen blinked red, low power. They had heat for maybe 2 hours, maybe less. Kirill lay on the cot, wrapped in a rough blanket. Her skin was still too cold. Her breath came out in weak puffs, white and slow. Ryan brought her a small metal cup filled with warm soup. Drink this, he said softly, kneeling beside her. She took the cup with trembling hands. Her fingers brushed his. Too cold, too thin, too fragile. Your heater's dying, she whispered. Ryan nodded. Yeah. Solar's blocked by the storm. Kirill closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again. I'm not scared of freezing. Ryan looked at her, confused. You should be. I've frozen before, she said. But this is different. Her body started shaking harder, not just from cold, something else. Her glowing veins began to pulse faintly. bright lines under her skin, like a pattern waking up. Ryan stepped back, eyes narrowed. What's happening to you? Carell bit her lip, trying to hold back the tremors. It's the serum, she whispered. It's reacting again. What serum? They gave it to me, she said through clenched teeth. A military chemical. Designed to make us faster, stronger. But unstable. Ryan's heart raced. Why is it activating now? Heat, stress, human scent. Maybe all of it. Her voice dropped lower, almost ashamed. It also affects other instincts. Ryan looked at her as her breathing grew quicker. She curled up slightly, covering her face. I didn't ask for this, she whispered. They wanted perfect weapons. They turned us into something else. Now it wakes inside me like fire. Ryan turned away, trying to think. They were trapped. The cold was coming fast, and Carell was heating up too fast. Her skin was flushed, glowing patches spreading across her arms and neck. The blanket slipped down, and her armor pieces had loosened, revealing smooth, alien skin beneath. He grabbed another blanket, throwing it over her. You need warmth, he said, trying to keep his voice calm. But not like that. Carell reached for him. Weakly. Stay close, she whispered. Just body heat, that's all. Please, he hesitated, then nodded. He laid beside her, carefully. The cot barely wide enough for one person. She pressed against his side, her face buried near his shoulder. Her body was too warm now, like a furnace barely under control. For a long time they lay there, silent except for the wind outside. Ryan didn't move, didn't speak. He could feel her breath on his neck, her heartbeat racing, and beneath it, something else. She whispered something in her language, a soft, broken phrase. What did you say? He asked. It's what we say before the end, she replied. If I die, I want to be close to someone. Even an enemy, even a stranger. You're not dying, he said, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. We're both getting out of this. But deep down, Ryan knew this wasn't just a storm. The hunters were still out there. Carell body was changing, and something ancient in her blood was waking up, something her creators couldn't control. Suddenly, she clutched his shirt tightly, her voice low and trembling. I feel strange. Like I need something I can't explain. Ryan didn't move. You're okay, you're safe. Carella's fingers trembled as they pressed against his chest. I know I said I'd warm your bed if you spared me, she whispered. But now, I don't know what's real and what the serum makes me feel. Ryan looked into her glowing eyes, full of heat and fear and confusion. You're still you, he said softly, and whatever happens, I'll make sure you stay that way. She closed her eyes again, and for the first time, her breathing slowed. The trembling faded, just a little. Ryan stayed awake all night, listening to the storm, knowing that when morning came, everything might be worse or maybe better. But one thing was clear. This was more than war, more than survival. This was a dangerous night, and it had just begun. Morning never truly came. The sky outside was gray, heavy with snow, but inside the bunker, a strange silence filled the air. Ryan sat at the edge of the cot, watching Carell sleep. Her breathing had calmed during the night, but her skin still glowed faintly. The fever had broken, but something else remained, something unspoken. He looked at her armor pieces scattered on the floor, curved plates of dark metal, sharp-edged and cracked. There were symbols on them, etched in a language he didn't know. But one caught his eye. It wasn't alien. It was a circle with a line through it, a slave mark used by black market traders. He had seen it before, burned into collars, stamped into stolen equipment. His heart sank. She had worn it not as a warrior, but as property. Carell stirred, opening her eyes slowly. She saw him holding the armor, staring at the symbol. Her body tensed. Then she looked away in shame. I didn't want you to see that, she whispered. Then why hide it under the armor? Ryan asked gently. Because it's all I had, she said, her voice low and rough. They gave me the armor, the title, the weapon, but I was never truly free, not once. She sat up slowly, wrapping the blanket around her. Her hair was tangled. Her skin pale, but her eyes burned with something real. I was born on a labor moon, she said. Raised by machines, trained by pain. When I became strong enough, they sold me to a general. He gave me the armor and told me I was a warrior. You weren't? Ryan asked. I was just another weapon with a pretty face, she said bitterly. Used in battles, paraded before kings, but always owned. Ryan said nothing. His fists clenched as he imagined it. This proud woman made to kneel, forced to fight wars for men who saw her as a tool, not a soul. She looked up at him again. You still think I lied to you? No, he said quietly. I think you've been through more than I can understand. Kirill stood slowly, the blanket slipping down her shoulders. Her body was marked, not just with bruises and cuts, but old scars, burns, and glowing patterns left by the serum. She covered herself quickly, but not before Ryan saw the truth. She was no elite warrior. She was a survivor made, shaped, broken, and remade by others. I didn't escape to live, she said, walking to the wall. I escaped so I could finally die on my own terms. Ryan stepped closer. You're not dying, not anymore. She looked back at him, her eyes wet. Then what am I, Ryan? If I'm not a soldier, not a slave, what's left of me? He reached out and touched her shoulder, gently. You're Kirill, he said. And that's enough for me. She blinked, not expecting those words. Her hand reached up and touched his hand softly. It was a simple moment, quiet but full of something that didn't need to be spoken. Then the sound returned, the distant hum of a ship above the clouds. The jammer had stopped working. Ryan moved to the screen, heart pounding. A new signal low orbit, multiple heat signatures inbound. They found us, he said. Kirill didn't flinch. She picked up her damaged armor and began strapping it on. Even cracked, it still fit like it was part of her body. Her hands moved fast, practiced but not rushed. She looked stronger now, not because of the armor, but because she had nothing left to hide. They won't stop, she said. Not until I'm dragged back in chains or turned to ash. Then we fight, Ryan said, checking his weapon. Side by side? She asked. Always, he nodded. She gave a small smile. The first true one he had seen from her. The glow in her veins pulsed gently, not wild like before, but steady, controlled, not because of the serum, but because she had chosen to stand outside. The snow began to fall again. Inside, Kirill stood tall, not a slave, not a warrior, just herself, and that was more powerful than anything the hunters could bring. The sky above the bunker turned dark again, not because of the clouds, but because of the ship. It hovered like a shadow, quiet, slow, deadly. Its engines didn't roar, they whispered, low and deep, like a growl that warned of death. Inside the bunker, Ryan checked the scanner. 3 drop pods just landed less than half a mile, he said. Kirill didn't react with fear this time. She simply nodded and picked up the blade Ryan had sharpened for her. They want me alive, she said softly, but they'll kill you without a second thought. Ryan loaded his rifle. Then I better shoot first. A new signal appeared on the console, an open message from the hunters. It played in broken English, cold and calm. Human soldier, you are harboring stolen property. Step outside, surrender her, and we will not harm you. Ryan stared at the screen, silent. Kirill looked at him with steady eyes. You can give me up, she said. They will keep their word with you. He didn't answer. He walked slowly to the old metal door. He looked through a crack. 3 figures in black armor moved through the snow. They were not like soldiers. No unit symbols, no visible ranks, just hunters, quiet and skilled. Their weapons were strange net rifles, stun blades, plasma cuffs. They weren't here to fight a war. They were here to collect a prize. Ryan, Kirill said softly. This is not your battle. He turned to her, his voice firm. It became my battle the moment you fell to your knees in the snow. She blinked, surprised by the fire in his tone. But if you die for me, then it'll be my choice, he said. Same as yours when you ran. Outside, one hunter raised a speaker. "You have 1 minute," he said, "or we will burn everything." Ryan grabbed a flare from his pack and lit it. He stepped out slowly, holding it high. The hunters raised their weapons, but didn't fire. "I have terms," Ryan shouted. They laughed. "You have no power here, human," one said. "This is a bounty matter." He tossed the flare into the air. Bright red sparks flew high. A signal, a trick he used during his old recon missions, from the trees nearby. Small metal pods opened, Ryan's traps, homemade EMP grenades built for desperate moments like this. The blast hit all 3 hunters, disabling their weapons for a few seconds. Corell dashed out, faster than they expected. Her blade flashed like silver light. She struck one across the chest and dropped into the snow. The other 2 recovered. Quickly, one tackled Corell. The other charged at Ryan with a stun blade. Ryan fired once, then again. The first shot hit the hunter's shoulder. The second cracked his mask. He dropped, groaning. Bleeding. Corell fought hard, but her body was still weak. The last hunter got her in a net, dragging her back with an electric line. Ryan shouted and ran toward them. The hunter held a blade to Corell's throat. "Come any closer, human, and she dies." Ryan froze, gun aimed. His finger hovered over the trigger. One move could kill her or save her. His heart pounded. Corell met his eyes, her voice calm. "Don't fear for me, Ryan, even if you don't want me. I will still fight for you." That broke something in him. He pulled the trigger. The bullet struck the hunter's hand. The blade fell. Corell rolled, slicing free from the net and stabbing upward. Snow flew everywhere. Blood followed. Then silence. The battle lasted only minutes, but in that short time, a decision had been made, not by words, but by action. Ryan had chosen not to save his own life. He had chosen her. Corell sat beside him, breathing hard. The hunters were dead, or dying. Their ship began to retreat, sensing the loss. Ryan looked at her, covered in snow and blood. "You all right?" "I should be asking you that," she said with a small smile. He laughed softly, then winced, his ribs bruised. She reached for his hand and squeezed it. "You had a choice, Ryan," she said. "And you chose me." He looked at her, really looked, and realized something else. She wasn't a burden. She was a partner, and he didn't regret a thing. The night sky opened above them. Clouds rolled away, revealing the ice moon, huge, glowing pale blue. It hung like a silent judge in the sky, cold, still, watching. Ryan and Corell stood outside the bunker, weapons in hand. They had no time to rest. The dead hunters had sent a final signal before falling. A beacon, bright, loud, dangerous. It meant more were coming, and soon. 10 minutes, Ryan said, checking the scanner. Corell's hands tightened on her blade. "I feel it. The serum is waking again." He looked at her, worried. Her eyes glowed brighter now, veins lit under her skin. "You sure you can control it?" She nodded once, sharp and sure. "I don't want to lose myself again. But I will if I must." They moved to the cliffside above the bunker. The wind bit at their faces, but the view was clear. Far below, engines lit up the snow. 3 more dropships descending. "They're sending a full squad," Ryan said. Corell whispered. "Then we send a full answer." He smiled. Despite everything, her voice wasn't scared. It was steady. He handed her a small explosive. "Old human tech," he said. "Push this into their landing gear." She took it with a nod, disappearing into the dark with silent steps. Ryan took position behind a broken tree, rifle ready. His breath came out in clouds. His hands were steady. He had fought before, but this felt different. This time, he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting with someone. Corell returned minutes later, her armor cracked and dirty, but eyes blazing. "They won't take off again," she said. "I set the charges." Just as she finished speaking, the ships landed, doors opened. Dozens of armored bounty hunters stepped out, all shapes and sizes, some reptilian, some machine-like, all deadly. Then the leader stepped forward, taller than the others, A mask hid his face. He carried a long staff, glowing with electric energy. "I smell the traitor," he said in deep voice, "and the fool who defends her." Ryan aimed and fired. The first shot hit a hunter square in the chest, dropping him. Then chaos began. Blades clashed, guns roared. The snow turned black with smoke and red with blood. Kirill moved like fire, fast, wild, powerful. She jumped from rock to rock, cutting through enemies with speed. Ryan couldn't believe. The serum had awakened, but it didn't control her. Not yet. She controlled it. Ryan covered her from above, shooting enemies trying to flank her. His shoulder was bleeding, but he kept firing. He saw Kirill spin, dodge, slash until her knees buckled. "No!" he shouted, running toward her, but her body was shaking now, harder than before. The glow in her veins spread across her skin like lightning. Her eyes widened, and she screamed. Not in pain, but rage. The leader stepped toward her, staff raised. He struck her with full force, electric energy blasting into her chest. She flew backward into the snow, unmoving. Ryan charged, shouting, firing until his gun clicked empty. He tackled the leader, slamming him into the ground. But the hunter was too strong. He grabbed Ryan by the neck, lifting him up. "You die for nothing." "Human," he growled. Then came the sound, a roar not human, not machine. Kirill rose from the snow, her body glowing like a star. Her eyes locked onto the hunter. Her voice shook the air. "He chose me, so now I choose war." She leapt forward. Faster than the eye could follow, her blade pierced the hunter's chest, twisting, breaking through armor. He dropped Ryan, gasping, and fell to the ground, silent forever. Kirill stood over the bodies, breathing hard. Her glow began to fade. Her shoulders dropped. Then she turned to Ryan, blood on her hands. "I almost lost myself," she said softly. He walked to her, placing a hand on her cheek. "But you didn't. The battle was over. The hunters fled. Their leader was gone, their ships ruined." And the ice moon watched in silence. Two shadows stood in the snow, not master and slave, not savior and saved, but equals. And for the first time, Kirill wasn't running. She had fought not just to live, but to protect something real. The snow had stopped falling. The sky was quiet. No ships above, no footsteps below. Only the wind whispering softly across the frozen hills. The battle was over, but something inside Kirill still shook. Not from fear, not from cold, from something she didn't have a name for. Ryan sat near the fire he'd built with broken gear and dry roots. His arm was wrapped in cloth. Blood dried across his jacket. Kirill stood a few feet away, watching the flames. Her armor was gone now, left behind near the bodies. She wore only the blanket and a long human coat. It didn't fit her right, but it was warm and real. "You could have left," she said quietly, eyes on the fire. "When they told you to hand me over." Ryan didn't look at her. "But I didn't," he said, voice low. "I know," she replied, "and I don't understand why." He finally turned to her. "Maybe because I saw someone worth saving." She frowned, stepping closer. "I'm not soft like human women, not gentle, not clean," Ryan chuckled. "Neither am I." Kirill sat beside him, close. She reached out and held her hands over the fire. The flames made her skin glow again, but this time it wasn't the serum. It was something else, something peaceful. "I always thought warmth was just a tool," she said. "Something you give to survive the night, trade for safety or food." Ryan looked at her. "But now?" Kirill took a deep breath. "Now, I think warmth is something you give because you want to. Something that says, you matter." She turned her head. Their eyes met. "I was ready to sell myself just to stay alive," she whispered. "Back in the snow, when I said I'd warm your bed, I didn't mean it. Not really. It was the only thing I thought I had to offer." Ryan didn't interrupt. She needed to speak, and he needed to listen. "But then you gave me shelter, food, fire, your own coat." She looked down. "You gave me everything I thought no one would. Not because I was useful or beautiful, but because I was breathing. Ryan's voice was calm, steady. I didn't save you because I pitied you, Karel. He leaned a little closer. I saved you because I saw someone fighting harder than anyone else. And because when you looked at me, I didn't feel alone anymore. A silence passed between them, not empty, but full. Full of all the things they didn't say in the bunker. All the things they shouted in battle. All the things they now felt in the quiet. Karel looked at the sky. The ice moon was gone now, hiding behind soft clouds, she whispered. I don't have a home. You do now, Ryan said gently. Here? She asked, surprised. With me, he answered, not hesitating. She blinked. Tears didn't fall, not yet, but her body softened, her shoulders relaxed. She leaned against him slowly, like testing the ground before stepping forward. Her head rested on his shoulder. He didn't move away. He let her stay there, because that was what warmth meant. I don't know how to be anything other than a weapon, she whispered. Then learn to be a woman again, he said. No one's rushing you, she laughed softly, just once. It sounded strange coming from her lips, but it was beautiful. I've never had anyone wait for me. That I'll be the first. They sat there as the fire cracked gently. No war, no hunters, no fear, just two broken souls beginning to heal. In the middle of nowhere, under the stars, they found something that neither armor nor fire could give. They found warmth, real warmth, the kind that doesn't fade when the fire dies, the kind that stays in the chest, in the hands, in the eyes. And Karel, who once knelt in the snow and begged to live, now sat with her head held high next to the only human who ever chose her, not because he had to, but because he wanted to.